Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. My name is Angel.
My name is Tyler.
And you guys are here because you want to revitalize your life, redirect it, and unlock your potential. Bang! You know, that sounds so good. I just got to say, and I also want to say that we appreciate you guys being here because you guys are here because you want to work on yourselves. And don't forget that you can follow us on the rallycry.podcast and follow us on any podcast platform that you're on. You can listen to us and you can watch us on YouTube if you want to see our pretty faces. And yeah, let's get into today's topic. And what we're going to be talking about is kind of the things that hold us back from doing the things that we want in life. And we have to think about, okay, well, how can I do the things I want to do in my life if I always stay stagnant? If I always stay back and hold myself back from things, am I being accountable for the outcome, or am I just expecting things to go my way?
Well, I think the actual question to ask is life holding you back or you holding you back? As offensive as that may come off.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right? And I think that when we don't know something, like, you don't know what you don't know, and being mindful for that doesn't mean that we have to continue not knowing. Like, I don't want to be incompetent in an area where everybody else knows it or at least has some familiarity with it, and here I am stranded on an island, a lonely island, and I don't provide myself with that knowledge. I don't assess myself properly where I could say, all right, at least I tried, and I know that this isn't for me, you know. And I think that when it comes to stepping out of your comfort zone, we have to just go out on a limb. I mean, we got our body, right? We got all of our limbs together, so, like, why not go ahead and try? It's not like this L is going to stay on our record like it does in video games, where we see that we lost, it tracks the record, tells us that we lost, the time, the date, everything. Now we have to ruminate. And why ruminate for? Instead of ruminate, strategize. How could you do better for next time? How could you come back to the situation a lot more comfortable rather than never stepping back up to the plate again?
Right. I agree. I think what happens is that we give ourselves so much expectation of how certain things should go. We keep imagining of how it should be. And when we go outside of our comfort zone, it creates like anxiety and uncertainty. And it's normal for us to feel anxious about things and about an outcome, but it's not normal to let it continue to hold you back from an outcome that could actually benefit you. You just never know. And what happens is that our brain automatically senses danger. And when we sense danger, we do whatever it is to protect ourselves from it. And so that's when we go into our F3 responses, which is the fight, and the flight, and the freeze. So when you fight against it, you see the opportunity. When you flight from it, then you go back to your comfort zone because I'm like, oh, I don't feel good here, so I'm just going to go back to what I'm used to. Or we freeze from it and we're just like in distraught, we're astonished, and we have no sense of direction. We don't know what to do. We keep thinking about it, and that goes back to what you were saying. Like, we end up ruminating, oh, what if I did start a business, or what if I did want to get into this relationship, or anything like that. And what happens is that we form an impression, or we go off the impression that was given to us when we were younger, that we start becoming scared about what can happen for us in the future. We stay so stuck on the past that we can't be confident of what can be for us in the future, especially of what we know now. And when you talk about what you don't know, you got to know for what you do know to know how you can go into what you don't know. It's like, okay, I know that I'm capable enough to do a couple things. Like, if I want to go to the gym, I know that I have the time that I can go to the gym and even be there for an hour and just show up. And you never know until you try. It's just telling yourself, why not?
Yeah, and I like how you bring that up, because the thing that's the question at the end of the day. Like, why not? Like, what? Like, am I going to be hurt from this? Am I going to be traumatized? Am I going to be ridiculed? And I think that a lot of our choices are done by influence, and whether that's influence from our childhood leading into our current lives now, or whether that's societal influence where we let the people around us, the NPCs, the people that we don't know, dictate what we do. And I'm gonna tell a story because I think that when we can understand the fear that we create for ourselves, in like our last episode when I brought up catastrophizing, and when we catastrophize an experience or something in front of us, we're only creating a fear because maybe that's our way of justifying that we don't want to do it. Right. And there was this overweight man who wanted to lose weight, was afraid of being judged by people outside, and just keeps holding off the potentiality to make himself better. So instead of just going to the gym and then running away, he said, you know what, let me at least say that I showed up to the gym. So he'll walk to the gym every day, show up right in front of the doors, look at it for a couple minutes, walk away, go back home. And then a couple weeks later, it goes from being able to show up to the gym, walk into it, and now being able to step inside and talk to the receptionist at the desk and then walk out after. A couple weeks after that, he's built up so much courage and confidence that not only is he used to the habit of showing up to the gym, and also the habit of talking to people, so now he's also getting exposure. Now it's holding him back from being able to say, let me get on the treadmill, let me lift up a couple of weights. Despite how hard it may be, there's a goal that's in front of me that I want to see through to the end, and that's being able to feel good, see that I'm well, and being able to burn off any frustrations that I may have that I'm going through. And for that mentality to build that level of consistency, he broke it down. And a lot of times we have to break things down in life. We have to break it down step by step by step, because if we just look at the result at the end, that's what we're really scared of. We're scared at the result, and we're focused on it so much. Everything that happens before that, utter chaos, utter destruction. And that's where we rule ourselves out. What we need to do is focus on the process. Focusing on the process is what's going to allow us to be able to understand, okay, we're uncomfortable, and that's okay. What can I do? Asking yourself questions. Asking yourself, all right, how can I do this better next time? And just like that obese man, who is now a skinny man, I hope, or at least an athletic man, he now can say, I can't let nothing stop me. And the reason why I was letting anything stop me was because I was in front of it. I was the obstacle, not no big boulder that I couldn't move. I mean, I wasn't strong enough to move this boulder, but it was me. And I had to move me out of this place and kill that ego.
And I'm glad you said that story, because that's a great example. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that can really relate from that, because I think that's the biggest thing that people want to work on is their physical appearance, which is great. And it's all about the mental aspect that you have for yourself. And in that story, it's just a matter of showing up. I think that we give so much expectation on like, oh, I got to do X, Y, and Z so that I can get to where I want to be. And it's the matter of when you can just show up for yourself and put yourself in a position where you're getting closer to that goal, it makes you more successful, right? I think we look at successful as the end goal, when being successful is doing the part of the process of it. And when you can enjoy the process of it, you'll enjoy the outcome, because you can look back at it and be like, wow, I went from nothing and turning that nothing into something. And now it's the matter of thinking about when you're going to want to do something that you keep thinking about. This thought becomes pestering after a while. And so it's like, okay, why do I keep thinking about this? Why is this something that is always in my mind? And it's maybe because it's something you should just try. Like, it might not. I think a lot of times when we think about something, we think that it should be the thing that is just for us. But you're not going to know unless you try. Sometimes we try things and it's not for us, but at least now you tried. Now that's not a thought that you're going to keep thinking about. And now you can move on to something that probably serves you better. And when you do certain things, like go to the gym, for example, I think that's a beautiful example. You should think about how you feel after that. Like when I go to the gym, sometimes I don't want to go, and I think about, well, how am I gonna feel after I go? And a lot of times when I come out the gym, I'm like, wow, I feel great that I went. I'm a little tired, but now that I went, I can put that rest for a real purpose now, rather than I'm resting and what am I really resting for? And I think I want everybody to understand that it's not about just going to the gym. It's about even going for that job that you want, or going into that relationship that you want, or you want to do a new change your habits for things. You have to be consistent in doing it, and it might not be what you imagine, but when you're gonna create an imagination on of an outcome, you first have to like trial and error it. And sometimes what you imagine isn't exactly how it's gonna come out. Sometimes you do certain things that are a lot better, and you do it a lot better because of being consistent for it. So I can even say an example for me. When I first used to edit a long, long time ago, my editing wasn't really good. The first things you do are always gonna be bad. Your first relationship is going to be bad. Your first workout session is going to be bad. If you're going to be a writer, that's not going to be always good. And poetry was something that I used to do a little bit less before, but now I do it a little bit more often because I know that if I keep being consistent on it and persistent, I'm able to get better at it. And it reminds me of a quote that says, and I came across it. It says, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." So it's just a matter of you need to be optimistic. And I think a lot of times people think like, oh, well, I'm just being realistic. And it's just like, okay, there's realism, and then there's also just the faith that you give yourself. Like faith is a real thing. Illusionist, that too. You could definitely say that. And I think that there's people that can say, well, you can give an illusion of positivity. Oh, you can hope too much, or you can have too much faith. Well, that's absolutely true. You can have too much faith, but who's to say what's too much? Who's to say that what your dream is too big? Who's to say dreams are too big? What does that even mean? Like, how can you knock down something that you haven't even tried yet for yourself? Like, things happen bigger than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, and I like how Angel brings that up because there's times where we could let people dictate how the experience is going to be for us, and in those moments, people may want to be able to protect us because maybe their experience was horrible, and that kind of goes into how when we're on a cruise or let's say some kind of adventure, right? Emphasis on adventure. Are you a tourist or are you going to be an adventurer? With a tourist, you have this guided trip that everything is set for you, and maybe you didn't want to do too much planning because that takes too much hard work, and then the investments that you got to make into it where it's just this set payment for this trip that's scheduled for you and you don't got to do nothing else but enjoy it. Or you could be an adventurer where you have to study like where you're going across and at least know that, all right, I'm gonna go to Puerto Rico and I know that this part of Puerto Rico is bad, so let me just stay in this area. And you won't know any better until you learn from that experience. And a lot of failures or a lot of bad experiences learned through that. And as emotionally underwhelming that can be, because you want to have a good time, and like Angel mentioned, you want things to go right every single time. That's not the case. And if that was, then everything would be perfect. There'd be no reason to grow. There'd be no reason for any malice or anything like depression or rumination to be a thing, because everything went right. But wouldn't that cause stagnance? Wouldn't that cause you to become complacent and become bored with the idea that nothing ever goes wrong? And not saying that things going wrong should always happen. However, there has to be a balance for these things.
Yeah.
And that's why life puts us in these positions where, are you going to be a pessimist and you're just going to you're going to worry about the difficulty all the time? Because the difficulty is always going to be there. Or you're going to be an optimist and being able to see the opportunity in everything. And I think being able to see that shows why being an adventurer is a lot more fun and outgoing, because that adrenaline rush of not knowing what's to come after that, good or bad, who knows? Mm-hmm. But being able to see that, however it may be, it's still an adventure. It's still an experience. And being a tourist, you're just touring through. You're just getting by in life. And some could say that could be a bit robotic, because where's you? Where's the individuality in what you decided to do? You made the choice to go on this tour, but do you enjoy what the tour has to offer, or do you enjoy what's outside of the tour? And now here you are looking at and daydreaming about what else you could be doing rather than enjoying this tour.
I love that too because it reminds me where like as a tourist, a lot of times when we're trying to take a tour somewhere, we plan things. Oh, this is what's gonna happen. This is what I'm gonna do the next day. It's gonna be at this time. Oh, this is what I'm probably gonna want to eat. And some people can be very organized with that, where there's nothing wrong with it. However, when things don't plan out to what you planned, it's not about making excuses. Now it's learning to adjust to them. And so I think also the fact is that we treat happiness as a destination when happiness is just a part of the journey and going within the progress of how things are coming and going. Sometimes things come and sometimes things go, and you don't have control of that. So you have to worry about, what do I have control of? And when you're able to understand what you have control of, now you have control of your life, and now you're living your life and not living life. And I just think that's a great way to dissect that with being, are you an adventurer or are you a tourist? And as an adventurer, that person is always gonna look at how things can be difficult for them, and then also see how, like, okay, now that I know that is not more in service for me, I can see that I can go in this direction and this is where I want to be. I think that a lot of times when we get rejected off something, if it's something that we tried or if it's being in a relationship, we take that as a personal thing, and it attacks our own self-confidence, our own self-esteem, our own ego, and we put our own selves as an obstacle, and we can't even see that because we're not actually seeing it, but subconsciously we're doing that to ourselves. And I think when you're able to step out of your comfort zone, it's about the attitude that you give yourself. And when you change your attitude, it changes your behavior. And when you change your behavior, it changes your habits, and your habits change your character, and your character changes your destiny or your fate. And so when you're able to break that down, what happens to
you're on fire. You're on fire.
I'm just saying, like, I hope everybody can really understand that things are not always gonna go the way that you want it, but it's always gonna go in the way that is for you. Like, life doesn't happen at you, it happens for you. And when we're able to be optimistic about that, we're able to be like, okay, so what can I learn from this? What is this really telling me? We don't want to treat everything as like it's a punishment. We want to look at it as a lesson. Like, life is a classroom, not a candy shop. We don't want to always do things that is a form of pleasure. Like, we want everything to work out for us, and it's just like, it's not gonna work like that. And if we want to get religious, for the people that believe in God, or you want to say a higher power, or I always like to say a law of attraction, but I think the universe has a forever expanding experience. Like, the universe goes so far out, we don't even know. So it's the same thing for us. If we have a small comfort zone, and this is our world, it's so small, how are we going to expand that world so that we can be more comfortable for the things that could come across us? And so the bigger our comfort zone, the more likely that we're able to go against the things that are against us. And at the end of the day, I just want to let you guys know, there's nothing that is ever against you but yourself.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you for my TED Talk.
And I love how Angel brings that up. Like, when we realize that like, there could be obstacles in life that could prevent us from doing the things that we want to do. However, when it comes to our true potential, how can we fully tap into that if we haven't tried everything? And I could say, even here goes another story time, right, guys? So I hope you guys are liking this, by the way. Just click that thing.
I'm listening.
But all right, so I was a kid. I had dreams. Not anymore, but right?
What?
So there was a time that I would go to Six Flags and I would not go on the roller coasters. I was afraid of the roller coasters. I was afraid of heights, and it was more of like, okay, those are big mechanical rides. I'm flying in the air. That's a no. So I would just go for the games and go for anything that didn't have to do with being in the sky. But everybody seems to be having fun, so my curiosity continued to grow every time I went. So finally, I went and I finally tried to ride. Still remember to this day, the Pandemonium. Wasn't the fastest ride, it wasn't the craziest ride, it was just the idea it was a roller coaster, and that was my goal, to get on a roller coaster. And when I finally did it, this exhilarating rush that I had, I could not control my adrenaline, but the relief that I got from it, not only because I finally did it, but because of the fact that I entered a new world now that I didn't know before. And like Angel was mentioning, I stopped myself from being able to enjoy that. So now here I am saying, and I've been missing out this whole time. Like, what have I? Like, why was I doing that? And I went from being the kid that went to Six Flags to not go on the roller coasters to then being a kid that the first time I got on a roller coaster, I tried out 20 more that same day. So, and I even went on those rides more than once each time. So the fact that I allowed myself to step into this world where I don't know what it's like, I don't know what I'm about to get myself into, and anything can happen. I'm sure that for those that have seen the movie Final Destination, God forbid, that could have happened. I could have fell off the roller coaster had I not had my seatbelt on. I could have done anything. Anything could have went wrong. But I made that nothing into something, and that something stayed as something rather than me being dead. So the whole point of it is the fact that I tried, I came, I saw, and I conquered.
Yeah, and I think too, like, I remember when I remember when we went on a roller coaster, and I'm looking at you on my left, and we're going up on the ride. And for people that have been at Six Flags, the Superman or Bizarro, however you remember it, you was just like, oh, like your reaction was hilarious. And I also got to say, it's also the matter of people that you're around, and that the people that you're around is a reflection of you and how you're going to tackle things. And if you have people that are negative around you, then you're more likely going to look at life negative because of that influence. It just happens. And so it's important to have a good circle around you. And if you're going to try to get out of your comfort zone, it's important to have that set of people, because sometimes you need help. And it's important to ask for help, whatever it is. Like Tyler was saying, he was saying how ask your neighbor or anything like that to take you to work if you couldn't get to work because your car broke down or anything like that. A lot of times we can make an excuse for things and how we can't do certain things anymore because of an obstacle that got in front of us. But there's always a way if there's a will. And I think that it's important to always put yourself in that position. And Tyler, being at the amusement park, he was going so often and not going on the roller coaster. But since he was in that environment, he was just like, you know what, why not? And then Tyler then tell himself like, oh, I was missing out this whole time. And now I'm looking at this whole new world or this whole new perspective. Now I can look at things at a better light. And now that you have this light, all that darkness that you gave of yourself puts the world at more of a reach. And I just think that what happens is we get confused with what we're scared of to what we're comfortable with. When you're scared of something, it's where it's like it's something dangerous and it's going to happen to you or someone that you love. And when you're uncomfortable, it's just unpredictable and unfamiliar. Two different things. And we got to make sure that we distinguish the difference between the two.
Yeah, and I love how Angel puts that together, because when we could distinguish the difference between being scared and being uncomfortable with something, because it goes into the three fight, flight, and freeze. It goes into those three. And when we're uncomfortable, I can say for myself, like I remember in 8th grade, I had to perform for a choir, and I did not want to be on stage singing. I really didn't. So I froze at the sight of like looking at the audience like, oh, like this is really happening for real. And being that it was for school and I did go up, it was more of like if I had the opportunity to flight and run away, I would have done it. And that's okay. I think that, especially when we're younger, we, depending like how our parents raise us and the friends that we have around us, if we don't have any risk takers around us, then we're always going to look at life like, okay, that's too much risk, not enough reward. And that's where ego comes into it as well. We always worry about the reward factor. And when the risk and reward, when that's teetering and tottering, like the Libra scale, when you got one going up above the other, now you start to question it. And when you start to question it, then you start to get doubt, because you got to question everything that you came here for. You're already there. What are you going to lose from being there? As long as your life isn't at risk, as long as your self-esteem is intact and you're around people that respect you, and obviously you respect yourself, everything will be okay. The only thing that will remain is the memory. And how you treat that memory is up to you. Because if you let that memory be a memory where you doubt, you dwell on, I wish I didn't do that, and you ruminate on that, that's what that experience is going to be for the rest of your life. And when you look back at that, you feel nothing but that remnant of rumination. Where if you had a good memory and you had a good experience, you remember, like, it's almost as if you float. You start feeling that feeling again. You start experiencing all of that good joy that you have from it. So there's no need to be scared. There is a need to be scared, but there's also a need to hold yourself, ground yourself, keep yourself accountable, and remind yourself that everything's gonna be okay. Because no day is a bad day when you really look at it. We're still alive, and like Angel was bringing up spirituality, God, Loa, like they bring us here for a reason. It's our lives aren't scripted. Or you could look at it as scripted, but our lives aren't scripted for a reason, because we shouldn't know what's gonna come ahead of us unless it's a part of our plan and things that we want to see. Like, okay, I have a goal of going to the gym today. Cool, that's scripted. You going to the gym. You don't know how well you're gonna do at the gym. You don't know if you're gonna stay at the gym for an hour or 2 hours, or end up getting caught in a 20-minute conversation with somebody that you met at the gym. But you knew that you were going to the gym today. That's a part of the script. Everything else that comes after that, that's the beauty of life, the beauty of experience, the beauty of being.
Yeah, man. I love absolutely every single thing you said. And I hope you guys are really listening if you're driving, if you're cleaning, or whatever it is that you're doing. And I think that is important for us to have anxiety, for us to be scared. And it's like, what do you mean, Angel? Like, I don't want to always be anxious. I don't always want to be scared. It's because if we didn't have that anxiety or that scared, we won't be able to live, because we won't able to know how to program ourselves to keep ourselves safe. But let yourself know that just putting yourself in a position so that you can get out of your comfort zone, you're going to be safe. But you got to know that when you put yourself in that position, how well you're going to articulate yourself through that. And I think what happens is that every time when we try to do something new in our life, we don't want to lose anything doing that. If it's time, if it's the people around us or anything like that. And if for some reason you do something new in your life and you lose those people because you're doing something new in your life, then those are the people that you don't want in your life, because you're doing something that you want to do in your life that's more fulfilling for you, because it's your life. This is your world, your favors. So, hey, I just want to say this is a great topic to talk about. I appreciate you guys for listening. I appreciate you, Tyler, because I be learning a lot from you. I be learning a lot by myself from what I be saying out here on here. And I just think that this gives us the opportunity to reflect, because that's what it's about. When we can reflect about the things that we think about and how we talk to ourselves and how we give ourselves this attitude, then that's when we can actually make the first step on showing up to where we want to be, stepping out of our uncomfort zone. So just remember, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I'm gonna say, what is it something that you guys are gonna do today? What is that first step you're gonna do? Is it that thought? And now with that thought, what are you gonna do with that thought? Are you just gonna keep thinking about it, or are you gonna do something about it? I hope you guys do something, because I don't want you guys to just stay there. You have way more potential than just to sit here and do nothing, because everybody can do everything that they can and everything that they are. You might not be everything that you want, but you are here for a reason, and it's all about finding that purpose on why you're here, so you can bring service to others. So I really appreciate you guys. Once again, I can say it as many times as possible. Is there anything you want to say, Tyler, before we go? Any questions you want to ask for them?
Not a question. Well, I'd like to challenge everybody. I would hope that everybody has a journal where they keep to themselves and be able to express who they are and express everything that they experience, and where you felt comfortable throughout the days and throughout the week, mark that down so you have that documented, so you can see where you can go back to and see why you felt this way, why you had to flee from this experience because you wasn't ready at that time, and how you can prepare yourself to be better. I've been journaling more and getting into organizing my own thoughts and my own feelings, so that way I could become better at executing, and I think that not being able to have that full experience or have this full understanding of what's in front of me, that's okay, and it is frustrating, and I'm competitive with that, so that's why I keep trying. And as long as people can keep trying, journal, mark it down, so that way you have your start date of when you failed, but then you have that end date when you succeeded, and now you can put that all together, and now you got a story ahead of you.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, so just remember that you are now the next big thing to change your timeline and your history. So until next time, we appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Peace.
Deuces.